Do you have ADD?
Do you have ADD?
Do you have ADD? Squirrel?
Or so much stress that you can't shut off your brain? Are you an insomniac? Are you a space cadet? Are you a crazy creative person who can't shut off their
Squirrel?
Does your mind work on multiple levels at once?
Are you a fidgeter?
Do you toss and turn thinking about all the stress? Do you ever get road rage and want to just run somebody off the road?
Are you so exhausted that you can't even breathe?
Does your mind fight with itself like monkeys with knives and flamethrowers? It's the way the mind works when you're crazy like this.
Just like, fuck it, man. I need to fucking chill out. And meditation is great. I love meditating.
Have you tried meditation and find it impossible to sit still for more than 30 seconds? Well, you're not alone.
I don't want to observe my monkey mind. I want to fucking stab him and then take a nap. Was that too much?
I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. If so, I have a technique for you to shut your mind the fuck up. It's called fuck the dumb shit. This just in. Hey guys, my name is Jay. I am a meditation teacher and writer. I have invented a new technique for people with ADD, insomnia, type A personalities, and other people who are so stressed that they can't shut off their brains. I refer to it as fuck the dumb shit. Watch this video and I hope that it will help you calm your brain down and find some relief. Please comment below if it helps you. Let me know. I'd love to hear about any success stories. That'd be awesome. Thanks, guys. This technique is not for advanced meditators per se. It's for people who want to meditate but can't.
Squirrel?
If you sit down on the cushion and your mind just goes like a roaring stream, then you need a technique to first quiet the mind. And in order to do that, we have to slow down and interrupt the normal thoughts. So how do we do this? I want to introduce you to a breathing technique that I created called Omega breathing. The essence of this technique is what I like to call progressive counting. This is a whole system that you can use for multiple different things. And so I'm just going to explain the basic technique, and that's built off of progressive counting. Anybody can do this simple technique. So what is progressive counting? What I discovered is that if I just move the number that I'm counting each breath, it actually interrupts my thoughts. Instead of counting from 1 to 10 again and again and again, I count from 1 to 10, then I count from 2 to 11, and then I count from 3 to 12, and then from 4 to 13. Instead of counting to 10 repeatedly, we take our starting and ending point number and move it 1 each breath. I'm just using 10 as an example here. You can actually use any number with progressive counting, and one of the cool things about this technique is its flexibility. The system of Omega breathing is the science of using different numbers to move energies, but for right now, just understand that you can use any number with progressive counting and achieve some effects. Now, you've probably done or heard of other counting techniques. The 4-7-8 breath pattern is very popular right now. Omega breathing is different because we only count on the exhale and we count to whatever number feels natural. Meaning, if you wake up in the middle of the night, you can count 4s. Whereas if you're very stressed out and your mind is racing, you might count 12s or 15s. And the reason for this is what I like to call Omega breathing theory. As a general rule, the number you naturally count to as you exhale correlates to your dominant brain wave. I'll explain this all more in another video, but for now, imagine that you are waking up in the middle of the night. This is what it would look like if we were counting from 1 to 4. Instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're moving the number that we start counting by 1 each breath. So this is the way Omega breathing works. Say, for example, we're counting on the exhale to 8. You're going to inhale naturally. When you get to the top of the breath is when you're going to start counting. And the way that we count is to exhale forcefully with ocean breath or ujjayi breath so that it makes a sound like we're sighing, which is. And over that, we count to our number, in this case 8, and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we leave space at the end of the breath so that I have space to remember the next starting number, which is going to be 2. What we do on the next breath is count from 2 to 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So again, we're just increasing the starting number of counting by 1 each exhale.
And that's the first part of the technique. The second part of the technique comes in when you get up into the higher numbers, when you're actually stressed out and you're counting above 8, and you need to actually remember the last number as well. That's where actually it gets challenging, and that's where our thoughts are completely interrupted and we can fall asleep very, very fast.
And one of the points of this technique is to get rid of energy. And thoughts are energy, and feelings are energy. And so we're actually expelling the numbers fast. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you can hold that 10 in your thought and let it reverberate. When you have to think about what the next set of numbers is, you only have to really recall the first and the last one. So I say 211. And by recalling that, by saying 211 and putting that in my consciousness as a short-term memory, which I can instantly forget, there's no room for anything else to come. And so I say 211 a couple times as I inhale very gently with no force or counting or anything like that. Just fill it up and then expel the energy. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
And boom, that's the omega point. That's the end of the breath, that's the end of the thought, and you can forget it because you're moving on to the next one. The next thought is those two numbers that you're beginning and ending with. No new stuff can come in, and you're on to the next breath.
Laser focused on the counting technique.
Whereas in other techniques where you're doing the same number counting pattern, you will start drifting and thinking about other things.
When you do a repetitive counting technique, it becomes weaker and weaker in terms of maintaining your awareness in the short term. The meditation techniques that we're taught to calm down and stop our thoughts don't work because we're focused on a long-term memory. And the ruminations and the thoughts and the things that are driving us crazy right now are all in the short-term memory. They're all temporary things that we have not quite figured out whether we believe in them, whether they exist, or whether they should be forgotten.
And mostly that shit needs to be forgotten.
I have a whole system that I've developed over the course of the past 5 years around this technique, and I'd love to share it with everybody. So I encourage you to experiment with this idea of progressive counting, and if you find it useful, please come back and see some of my other videos where I elaborate on it more, or sign up for my email list where I send out meditation tips, and I'm gonna soon have an invite to a whole course that I'm gonna do, and it'll be really, really fun.